Hello, friends. So today we'll be reading about Zigmund Bauman. So this thinker is a Jewish Polish sociologist who relocated to Russia after Soviet Union after the Nazi invasion. So one of his work is about Holocaust as well. So he gave the idea of liquid modernity. So he told that abandon all hope of totality, you who enter the world of fluid modernity. सो वो इसमें ये दिया गया है कि जो पिक्चर भी दिया गया उसमें ये देखा गया है कि जैसे लोग सारे कंफ्यूज्ड है, दे आर इन द स्टेट ऑफ ट्रांस. So first of all, solid modernity was there, the first phase of modernity. Then the world goes into liquid modernity. What is solid modernity? It's a hardware kind of modernity when everything is stable, everything is static. And then in liquid modernity, everything is fluid, changeable, amorphous, etc. So in liquid modernity, this is very important, this flowchart. So in liquid modernity there is fragmented consumer identities, people traverse across the globe in vast numbers, there is economic uncertainty, jobless, and there is extreme competition. So liquid modernity is highly changeable and uncertain. So in late 19th century, urban centers were coming up in Europe, and there is industrialization and capitalism. So here Zygmunt Bauman came with the idea of liquid modernity, where human history changes to software fluid based modernity. Zygmunt Bauman is also influenced by Karl Marx and Engels, capitalism and globalization. They have mentioned in Communist Manifesto, which they have worked together on. He was also influenced by Antonio Gramsci's concept of hegemony, Michael Foucault's discipline and punish. So we can see that when this liquid modernity happened, which is mobile, fast flowing, changeable, amorphous, without a center of gravity, the world became very, very, very unpredictable. So, like Karl Marx, Bauman believed that human society progresses in a way that means each new stage develops out of a stage before it. The historical materialism was about this. There are five stages, so each new stage is develops from a last stage, like from solid modernity, liquid modernity developed. So then we'll see about the solid modernity. Solid modernity is about the bureaucracy. It is about which is very defining, which is very predictable, rational, and ordered. So bureaucracy is very important for the world because due to bureaucracy, the political structure is organized, and there is order in actions. But there is a problem with bureaucracy, that is everything is dehumanized and devoid of spontaneity and creativity, as Karl Marx has said about the alienation from self. Here we can quote this: alienation from self is equal to uh, the dehumanization and the lack of creativity in bureaucracy. Another key characteristic of solid modernity is high degree of equilibrium in social structures. Like everything is very stable, from the norms, from the tradition, from the institution. Like in traditional European society, women have to be very meek, while men have to be leaders, have to rule the world. Exactly like that. So we can see that Bauman is not expecting that change should not occur, but he is saying that change should occur, but in that should be relatively ordered and predictable. Like Holocaust in Poland, Poland was built and run by the Nazis. Bauman cites that Holocaust as a product of highly rational planned nature of solid modernity. It was highly rational and planned. Okay, Holocaust was, it was not unpredictable, but then he says that so changes should occur, economic, political, everything, but they should be predictable and ordered. And like the economy provides a good example in solid modernity, where majority of people from members of working class through the middle class professional enjoyed a relatable security. But will compare to liquid modernity of today, when the middle class professionals are not stable even after having a job, they are not earning so well and are not coping with the inflated economy. So we can say that Bauman regards solid modernity as one directional, progressive. In solid modernism, the supreme faith in scientific reasoning was embodied in social and political institutions that address primarily national issues and problem. मतलब कि जो फेथ होता था वो जो सॉलिड मॉडर्निटी में वो पॉलिटिकल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में था. तो एट द लेवल ऑफ इंडिविजुअल claims Bauman solid modernity give rise to stable reporter of personal identities and possible version of selfhood. मतलब उसमें सॉलिड मॉडर्निटी में एंजाइटी डिप्रेशन जैसी चीज़ें नहीं होती थी, जो कि लिक्विड मॉडर्निटी पे बहुत कॉमन है, क्योंकि एक स्टेबल सेंस ऑफ पर्सनल आइडेंटिटी नहीं है, एंड देर इज़ हाइपर रियलिटी एज वेल एज इन लिक्विड मॉडर्निटी. तो हम ये देख सकते हैं कि सॉलिड से लिक्विड कैसे हुआ. जिगमंड बॉमैन ये भी बोलते हैं द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ एवरी कंट्री इज नाउअडेज अ कलेक्शन ऑफ डायस्पोरास. डायस्पोरास बहुत सारे हैं. आप यूएस में चले जाइए, दुबई में चले जाइए, देर आर पीपल फ्रॉम अरेबियन कंट्रीज, देर आर पीपल फ्रॉम साउथ एशिया, देर आर पीपल फ्रॉम इंडिया. सो इससे हमें क्या पता चलता है? माइग्रेशन लेड टू अ फ्रैगमेंटेड आइडेंटिटीज ऑफ पीपल, माइग्रेशन लेड टू अ कल्चरल एक्सचेंज, माइग्रेशन लेड टू लिक्विड मॉडर्निटी. तो बॉमन एक टर्म बताते हैं, कंपल्सरी ऑब्सेसिव एंड एडिक्टिव री इन्वेंटिंग ऑफ वर्ल्ड. द वर्ल्ड इज री इन्वेंटिंग इट continuously, and that continuous reinvention is leading to liquid modernity. Nations, and what is the region of this reinvention? So Bauman cites five distinct but interrelated development that have brought the transition from solid to liquid modernity. So first was the nation state are no longer key load bearing structures. Only the national government are not having the stress of managing the whole population now. The events that is occurring outside is also influencing the internal matter. Like if there is a war occurring in Israel and there are Indians involved in it, it will affect India. If there is a war, even if the Indians are not involved in it, the inflation in oil food products will affect India. Then secondly, global capitalism has risen and multi and transnational corporation has proliferated, hence decentering the state authority. So these people are giving jobs. So like pandemic and everything, many people are dependent. The economy is dependent upon these transnational companies. So now only the nation state is not responsible. Thirdly, internet and electronic technology now allow for near instant supranational flow of communication. So now the communication is also fluid. Fourthly, societies have become even more preoccupied by risk society, like the one that Anthony Giddens and Ulrich Beck had said. Risk society मतलब क्लाइमेट चेंज से हम जूझ रहे हैं, हम ग्लोबल वार्मिंग से जूझ रहे हैं, वी आर ऑल्सो टैकलिंग द वाटर शॉर्टेज, सो वी आर मैनेजिंग मेनी रिस्क. एंड फिफ्थ इज there has been huge growth in human migration across groups. So migration, risk society, capitalism, internet and electronic technology, and the change of status of national government, and the interference of external matter in internal matters. So in Bauman says that liquid modernity is characterized by flux, uncertainty, and unrelating change. We can see that how in the pandemic, before the pandemic, there was um, there was stable job and everyone was in job. Then job loss occurred in pandemic. In some companies there was huge recruitment to have reserve army of laborers and to diminish their part of bargain, as said by Karl Marx. Then after pandemic 2-3 years down, so there has been a huge layoff due to that. So how uncertainties, there is recruitment, there is layoff, there is financial struggle, there has been a war in Israel and Ukraine. So this is continuously affecting the politics and the economics. So we can see in this figure the characteristic of solid modernity is static. There is a design, there is a predictability, there is a pattern, there is a determinacy. But in fluid modernity, there is movement, there is chance, there is flux, there is indeterminacy, there is unpredictability. Who knew there will be pandemic? Now Japan is suffering from toxic shock syndrome. Who knew that it will be suffering from such? Then we can see that liquid modernity has undermined the certainties of individual regarding employment, education, and welfare. Today, many workers must either retrain or change occupation altogether. Sometimes, several times, the notion of job for a life has changed now. Means the society is changing. Some jobs are changed due to the incoming of AI in job world. So they have to change their job. Someone is an accountant for whole life, someone is a doctor for whole life, but as the technology is coming in, and as there are so many uncertainties, there are two or three more jobs, or people are changing their jobs continuously to adapt to the changing economy. This leads to increasing skepticism and general apathy on the part of general public. So now people are not happy, like they are earning so much but they are not happy, because they think that the world is so uncertain, that what if something would happen someday, what I'm going to do with this income or everything. So some firms are downsizing, re-engineering or downsizing, as Richard Sennett, a sociologist from US says. This is very common these days. Corporation to remain financially competitive in the global market by reducing their labor costs significantly. Like Amazon has mechanized through most of his lower jobs through robots, and Amazon has done many layoffs in the recent past. Same goes for Google. So closely we can see that there is occupational instability, and there is also instability in the achievement instability. Some influencer is earning so much today by just making a video, while a person who invests half of his life in studying something is not earning as much as in the recent past. So Zigmund Bauman says, we live in a globalizing world. This means all of us consistently or not are dependent on each other. So in a liquid modernity, everyone is dependent in each other. So now even the state is withdrawing the welfare, the provision of welfare. Pension has been withdrawn in India. So there has been continuously change in the employment pattern and the concept of welfare state. So fluid identity is present. Fluid identity, as in the consumerism, is relating to the identity. The transition from production to consumption is a result of dissolution of social structures, such as occupation and nationality, to which identity was anchored in a solid modernity. सॉलिड मॉडर्निटी में क्या होता था, हम एक नौकरी करते थे, हम एक जगह पे रहते थे, हमारा आइडेंटिटी एज एन उड़िया और समथिंग इज एज एन Assamese or anything is there. But in liquid modernity, we have to change our jobs, we have to change our cities, we're reading somewhere, we are doing our job somewhere. So identity has been fluid, and there is extreme consumerism which is shaping our identity. Then the self creation of personal identity is undertaken through consumption, as traditional sources of identity such as employment status, family ties have withered over liquid modernity. बट इन लिक्विड मॉडर्निटी सेल्फहुड इज नॉट फिक्स्ड, वो फ्रैगमेंटेड और अनस्टेबल हो गया सेल्फहुड. कंजप्शन एंड आइडेंटिटी. Without the unchanging sources of identity provided by solid modernity, individuals in the modern world seek guidance, stability, and personal direction from an ever broadening range of alternative sources such as lifestyle coaches, psychoanalysts, sex therapists, holistic life experts, health gurus. Like in modern world, the risk is too much, there are nuclear families, so people are seeking guidance. So new kind of jobs are also growing, new kind of jobs are growing. The welfare is withdrawn, like pension has been withdrawn. There is instability in identity, so anxiety and depression occurs. And then there is a space for creativity as well, because everything is uncertain. Liquid modernity thus principally refers to a global society that is plagued by uncertainty and instability. So, Bauman gives two terms, tourist and vagabond. He refers tourist as those people who are social elite and mobile members who possess the wealth and occupational status necessary to enjoy the most positive aspects of liquid modernity. Like they have internet based technologies, translational flights, extreme wealth, tourists. They are able virtually and in reality to live a best life. But when he says about vagabond, he says that Vagabonds are those immobile, subject to forced mobility, and are excluded from consumer culture. Like they are not consumers. Life for them involves either being mired in places where unemployment is high and the standard of living is very poor, or being forced to leave their country of origin as economic or political refugees in search of employment. Like many people are migrating to US, Canada. The Punjabis are migrating to Canada. Many people are migrating from the Middle East countries, which is tagged with, which is suffering from war. So these people are economic refugees, and like few people who go to US from some Khalistani protesters who go to US and say that they are refugees over there, or the Rohingya refugees. So, if we'll generalize it or if we'll summarize it, Bauman refers the poor as the vagabonds and the rich or elite as the tourist. He also says that in liquid modern life there is no permanent bond, and any that we take up must be tied loosely so that they can be united when circumstances change. सो मतलब कोई भी परमानेंट बॉन्ड नहीं है. आप चेंज कर रहे हैं अपने और मतलब नेटिव चेंज कर रहे हैं, आप और कहीं जा रहे हैं, तो कोई परमानेंट बॉन्ड नहीं. यू चेंज योर बॉन्ड अकॉर्डिंग टू योर नीड एंड सर्कमस्टेंसेस. Then he also says that if you define your value by the things you acquire, being excluded is humiliating. So in a society, when everything is measured by the things that we acquire, we have a car, we have a house, we have big almirah that is full of dresses. So the consumerism is going to determine you in liquid modernity. If you are happy or not, that is not going to matter much. बॉमन की थ्योरीज को एक आयरिश सोशियोलॉजिस्ट डॉनशा मैरोन ने अप्लाई किया था, जिसमें वो बताई थी क्रेडिट कार्ड इज़ ऑल्सो लिक्विड मॉडर्निटी का एक टूल है. कैसे? क्योंकि हम उससे डेली डेली लाइफ के चीज़ें डे टू डे बिल भरते हैं, तो इट्स अ टूल और अ मार्कर ऑफ कंज्यूमरिज्म. तो जिगमंड बॉमन और भी एक बात बोलते हैं, कम्युनिटी इज नाउ इज अनदर नेम फॉर पैराडाइज लॉस्ट. So in liquid modernity there is individualization, there is no community, so it is another name for paradise lost.